Hello. Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. I thought I would take a little time today to talk about the design philosophies and the design process that I'm going through in working on the latest big project, Mechanized Victory, or the Mecha book. I had to take a step back from how I was originally doing it. Originally, I was going to go ahead and just use a shortened version of the vehicle rules from the Victory System Equipment Manual, which works. It was originally designed so that Mecha was a possibility in the system, and that was going okay, but I have to admit that the vehicle rules in Equipment Manual are a little clunky. That's kind of by necessity. Those rules were designed to allow someone to make everything from a wooden kayak to a planet-destroying battle station and everything in between. So they're a little inclusive, and there are a lot of options and some more advanced math involved that I'm really comfortable with using on a really regular basis. And when it comes to a mecha book, you just can't make it that complicated. I don't want to see a mecha book that complicated. I've collected a lot of games with mechs in them over the years. Hopefully games that have construction rules in them, because building your own giant robots is a lot of fun. Starting with Mechton from Artel Zorian, and the D20 Mecha Manual, and things based on Mechton, like the Jovian Chronicles. I mean, GURPS Mecha I got, and what I've discovered is that the more complicated the system for designing the mecha, the less I really go to that book. I have bought numerous copies of Mechton Zeta Plus because it has a set of rules for building mecha in it that I have constantly referenced, gone back over. My first copy of that book is in a damn near liquid form. It's that well used. That's the kind of use I want to see out of the book that I produce. And I wasn't getting that. The other thing is that it was treating mecha like just another vehicle. And they're not. You go back to the old Super Robo shows of the 70s and 80s, and sometimes the mech was just a thing that the characters got into to express their combat on a larger scale. But those giant robots had personalities. They had something more than you could attribute to just another vehicle. Sometimes they were tanks with legs, Southern Cross, but sometimes they were a lot more. There haven't been 10 series of Mobile Suit Gundam because the robots weren't engaging. Yeah, there's the character interplay and the storylines, but if I could hang out with Amuro Ray or I could pilot a Gundam, I'd pilot a Gundam. So mecha aren't just another vehicle. And they don't behave like vehicles. The better designed the mech, the more it behaves like a character instead of a vehicle. They run, they jump, they do kung fu. Some of them cast spells. You get mechs like the Evas in Evangelion, despite the fact that I dislike the series intensely, and the last episode makes me want all the time back that I spent on watching it. But, giant biological units that have essentially been decerebrated and are piloted by plugs inserted into them. There's this broad variety of things that it's widely recognized. The closer that they function to just a larger version of the Pilot, the more advanced and better performing your mech is. I had gotten quite far in designing the initial run of the Mecha book when it just hit me that treating them like vehicles and just breaking down the vehicle rules into smaller, more manageable chunks wasn't getting me where I wanted to go. It was giving me something interesting, but it wasn't giving me something engaging, and it wasn't giving me that sense that a really well-designed mech is more like a character than a tank with legs. I'd been thinking inside the box, and I didn't just need to start thinking outside the box. People have to be able to follow me on this thought process when they pick up the book and start designing their own. I had to design a whole new box, which is fine, because that's kind of what I do. I'm the box designer. People want to think outside that box, that's awesome. But I stopped thinking in the terms that I had been. As I have the system designed now, which is most likely going to be the final version, mechs actually are more of a hybrid between a character and a vehicle. They have statistics like characters, including performance statistics like characters. They have a certain amount that they can run and jump just based on the fact that they've got structure that is capable of moving. Every mech has strength and stamina, or structure. They all have the ability to move, and substance. They can resist a certain amount of damage. Other statistics turned out to be interesting to contemplate. Rather than give them an intelligence or a perception or an agility or a dexterity, I made those statistics bonuses. Bonuses to use the mech in a particular way. Intelligence became a computer stat, which is a bonus to the pilot using the mech's data systems. Agility became handling. It's how well the mech assists the pilot in handling it, like a vehicle's handling, but it's a little bit more intricate. Dexterity became targeting systems, perception became the sensors, and suddenly your bare bones mech that doesn't have any of these is still pretty good, but as you start adding and increasing these other statistics, you get something that truly magnifies the abilities of the pilot. I love working with Excel. I really love working with Excel to the point where I can start thinking in spreadsheets. So when I started breaking everything down and laid out a character sheet that had the basis of what I needed a mech to have, the very basics, and I started building a spreadsheet to support that, it all kind of came together. So now you have your basic frames. Your basic mecha frame: arms, legs, a head, torso. A pilot can get into it and make it move. Everything else that a mech can do is something that you can add to it. You can add hard points so it can carry weapons. And you can already carry weapons in its hands, but you can add hard points to mount weapons on the inside or outside of the mech. You can mount additional turrets. The head already kind of counts as a turret, but the you can mount additional turrets, so it's got wider ranges of fire with its weapons. More armor, obviously. You can give it the ability to move faster or jump higher. Flight systems, aquatic movement systems, life support. That's kind of where you can really let yourself go and imagine what these things need if they're going to be giant robots. Well, even powered armor. Scale was another issue. In the vehicle book, there's like 3 scales of fantasy weapons and 5 scales of, or 5 or 6 scales of near modern and 5 scales of space, and I standardized that for mechs. Near modern, fantasy, and space all have 4 scales: personal, medium, large, and massive. And personal mechs are mostly powered armor. That's a different set of mechanics than things that are larger. If you've got a humanoid suit or a humanoid mech at about humanoid size, that's not being piloted, that's being worn. It is not replacing the pilot statistics, it is enhancing or multiplying the pilot statistics. A suit of powered armor is a force multiplier for 1 unit. And I love powered armor. Some of the best science fiction ever written. Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein. Armor by John Steakley. The Forever War by Joe Hiddleman. Someone's going to hit me up over that. The powered armor is the set piece. It defines what these soldiers are going into, how well they work, how it doesn't work, how it magnifies the trooper, but allows the advancement and experience of the person inside of it to be the actual guiding force, the star of the show. In anime, that's even Bubblegum Crisis, the Nightsabers, or the AD Police's K-12 powered armor. That's really awesome stuff, and it's great tech, and it's good to look at, but at that scale, it's the person inside who is most magnified and in control of what that situation is and what the armor is doing. At the medium scale, you get things the size of cars to trucks. And because there has to be transformable mecha in it, this is where you're going to have your transforming cars and whatnot, even your, maybe up to your semi-trailer. And then at large, you get things that are the size of maybe up to, from very large trucks up to jumbo jets and small boats, things of that size. More of your Gundam style mechs happen mostly at that scale. A lot of your Super Robo happen around there. And then massive is just anything bigger than that. Which accounts for some of the mega massive things, the SDF Macross and Gunbuster, certainly. So having this standardization of the scales means that the book can have a better structure. So for every scale within every era, there is a section dedicated to that has here is the base framework of this scale at this era. Here's what it costs. Here are the weapons you can add to it. Here are all of the things that you can tack on to make this a better suit of mecha for you. Because there are transformable mechs, there had to be, you can also take that humanoid frame and drop some flaws on it. It doesn't have arms. It doesn't have legs. It moves with a different system than walking. And then you can add wheels or add wings. And you can use this to build cars and planes and submarines. And that's how you get your other versions of transforming mechs. You build the transforming mech, you build the vehicle that it turns into, or whatever it turns into, and then you slap the transformable feature onto both of them and spend half cost for the lower priced version. They should have about the same structure. You can gain a little bit of armor by things overlapping, but for the most part, their structures remaining the same, just their capabilities become a lot different, and their shape. So you can truly have robots in disguise. And if you've got transforming things in there, you also, that opens things up for being parts of combiners. In combining Mecha, wow, everyone has seen the original Voltron, or Go Lion, as it was in Japan, or the second Voltron, Voltron 2, Die Rugger 15 in Japan. So you've got this concepts of things coming together to form larger mecha that are more powerful, and I'm still working on those mechanics, but they're working out fairly well. Just slap the "this is a part of a combiner" feature onto a mech, and it turns into a part of a combiner. You can add that feature multiple times. Well, I could be a number of different parts within this combiner because we can switch out. Or this mech can become the part of a number of different combiners. Power Rangers and their Zords, the way they could ultimately, well, we found a new mech. And look, it combines with the mechs we've already got. So we can form this combiner, or can form this combiner. This turns into the Ultra Mega Super Duper Zord. That feature already exists in the Mecha book. It's basically going to be a matter of keeping track of hit location. As far as the combiner, everything's going to get a boost. Everything is going to be able to do a little bit more damage. You're going to be able to combine the outputs of different energy weapons so that your combiner has much larger, much more dangerous, much more damaging weapons. You know, Form Blazing Sword. But as far as, what everyone's doing, what about all the guys in the feet? That's a matter of, I've got weapons in my mech that aren't dedicated to the use by the larger mech, so I can still fire while I'm a leg on this giant mech. Or, contribute engineering things or tactical data. You're still usually going to have only one pilot in charge of one humanoid mech. Or someone else can handle the flight systems, or got someone on sensors. Crew distribution. That's pretty basic, actually. That's for any large mech. Works the same way for combiners. So where am I at? I have all the design information worked out. There are some features that I'm going to add and subtract as things go along. Now I am building the sample mechs. And as I'm building the sample mechs, it's going to be 2 or 3 mechs of every scale in every era, which is a lot of robots, to be perfectly honest. And some of them are going to be able to turn into cars and jets and horses and whatnot. And that means, for this mech, there are going to be 2 or 3 different mech designs, which is fine. This is the fun part. The part where I get to dig in and just start making things. And as I make something, it's like, wow, I really wish there was a feature that did this. Oh, I'm the guy who designs the game. Here, let me put in the feature that does this. It grows as I do this and stretch my imagination. So I see the book laying out as there's the beginning that has the very basics of what mecha are and what it means to play in a mecha game, and how the rules of the game, of the victory system, apply to using mecha, the piloting and designing and constructing them, and then just a bunch of robots here. Here's your section. Here's robots. Grab some robots and go beat each other up. These robots are perfectly good for just about anything that you want to go do. Go in and have some robot beaten up fun. Oh, you want to modify these or design your own? That's the next section. And that's going to be pretty large. Okay, here, for your era in this size class, here is all of the stuff. You want to build it from scratch? You just want to add or modify the mech you've already got? Go for it. All the material is here. And then, of course, a section, very brief, explaining that you've got all of this. If you need your mechs to do something other than this, you can just grab the Victory System Equipment Manual and build it from scratch. Here are the guidelines for applying what's in the equipment manual to building mechs. Then some adventure material, because why not? A little bit about, what it means to have mecha in the fantasy era, what it means to have mecha in the near modern, what it means to have mecha in space. That's a book I'd buy. That's a book that gives me what I'm looking for. That's meat and potatoes. It's kind of big. It's kind of big. The design section is already sizable. And by the time I have thrown in 1 metric shit ton of mechs, I want powered armor. I want a hard suit. I want a transforming car. I want a transforming jet in there. So it's going to be a sizable book, but it's going to be a book that I would buy. And it should not only provide a framework for moving forward with the setting books, so that as I build these worlds, there's already, somewhere in this world, there's a possibility that there are mecha. And there may be some simple mecha that is just, already a part of it. There's going to be some bonus mechs in the setting books. But also setting up whole campaigns just based around mechs, things that are based on anime series or classic science fiction scenarios where having a giant robot or using giant robots is just how society operates. Pat labor or something like that. It's probably going to be awesome. I'm going to be putting a lot of my own line work in this, not just the CGI that I normally do, but I'm already kind of stretching a little bit and throwing in some artwork that, I like giant robots. I've gotten out of the habit, but I've been doing it since I was 5, so I might as well get some practice on. Thank you very much for joining me through this journey through my design process. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a like. If you disliked it, let me know. Won't hurt my feelings. I like the feedback. If you have more feedback, questions, or comments, there's a section for comments right here. Please give me a couple. If you really liked this video and you would like to see more as they come out, I invite you to hit subscribe and subscribe to these videos. Get them as soon as they come out. The more subscribers I have, the more weight my channel carries, which is kind of nice. If you totally dug this video and you would like to see more videos with more stuff, I have a Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DeCorum. I invite you to go, have a look, and perhaps become a contributor. Anything helps. You want to contribute something per video or even cap your donation at a certain point with whatever you're comfortable with. Everything helps at this point, and I really appreciate the support. On a side note, this may be my last vlog using my own teeth, which I've had an adversarial relationship with for years. As part of the treatments for my cancer, before I do the radiation, they need to take care of everything in here dentally that I would have to have taken care of eventually, because once I have the radiation done, they won't be able to perform those procedures because I'll lose my ability to heal in the gums. Which, because of my horrible dental history, pretty much means they're going to have to pull all of my teeth out, what few there are left. I don't smile much on my vlogs, and that's probably one of the reasons. I will be going about 8 weeks without teeth because they can't give me dentures while I'm in the radiation process, after which I should be smiling a lot more in my vlogs. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed this. I am Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me, and I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum. Look out, bitches. Uncle Drax got a giant friggin' robot!